our hearts yearn for best in life. It is very, very important that cities answer the challenges of real social issues.
Who knows what's going to happen? So maybe we should be preparing for what we don't expect the unexpected. A resilient community actually knows how to respond no matter what happens.
It's very clear that we are faced with a number of problems, both emanating from nature and man.
We have to consider that everything is done keeping resilience in mind. It is a step going from reactive to proactive.
The inception of 100RC from the substantive side starts with Rockefeller's deep engagement in cities for decades.
In 2013, the foundation was celebrating its centennial anniversary, and it wanted to make a big statement. And it looked around the world and it saw three major trends: urbanization, globalization, and climate change. More than 50% of the world's population, for the first time now, lives in cities. And that number is expected to grow to 70% by the year 2050. Globalization refers to the fact that what happens in one city now more and more affects what goes on in another. More and more cities are at risk to the effects of climate change. They sit in some of the most vulnerable areas, whether that's river deltas, on coastlines, or in high plains that are more impacted by drought and rainfall shortage. And so, in order to recognize both their centennial but also be responsive to these macro trends, the foundation announced 100 resilient cities.
The four core offerings for 100 resilient cities: first, a chief resilience officer; second, help and assistance in creating a resilience strategy; third, access to a platform of services and partners; fourth, access to a network of cities and chief resilience officers. The Chief Resilience Officer is that single point of contact in a city, someone who has the trust of the city's leadership, ideally works closely with the mayor, but is also able to work throughout all the different silos of city government and throughout all the different silos of the city itself.
Mais le fait que les CRO soient positionnés à un niveau hiérarchique élevé dans les organisations municipales est réellement susceptible de nous aider à conduire notre mission de la meilleure manière possible.
So the first thing that a CRO does after they're hired is begin to develop a resilient strategy for their city. And the first part of undertaking that strategy is like taking a physical for the city. They need to understand what the overall resilience health is, so where they're strong and where they're weak, where they're healthy and where they're fit and where they're not.
A lot of the planning processes and strategies that are developed are about the strategy itself, and then you're done. And with 100 Resilient Cities in this process, it's really about implementation.
To help the cities actually solve their challenges, there will be access to a platform of services.
100 Resilient Cities platform is a funded suite of tools, services, advisory support from the leading nonprofit, academic, and corporate sector partners who have all contributed their time and resources to help our cities execute upon their resilience strategies and achieve their resilience goals.
The quality of the partners that are accessible to us is really something a city like Norfolk just couldn't afford.
In addition to all of the great platform resources, this is when the network actually of all of these global CROs can provide one city all of their global institutional knowledge.
La oportunidad que tuvimos de encontrarnos con otros CROs, de saber que no estábamos solos, no que hacíamos parte de una red con un compromiso mayor con el mundo.
The city has to believe in what they're trying to achieve. They have to identify with the risks and exposures, and then we can figure out how to complement that. We can't accomplish very much as a platform partner without the motivated city behind it.
So I go back to my city, fired up, and absolutely sure that I will engage even more with my Chief Resilience Officer to put this right at the heart of what we do.
We are working in 100 cities, with the aspiration of sparking a resilience revolution in 10,000 cities around the world.
As the 100 are built out and they are working together, they actually, we hope, will become the linchpin of a global movement around building resilience. They will represent 6 continents. They will represent a depth of understanding about what resilience means and how to build it.
Cities are the future. They're both our biggest risk and our greatest hope to solve climate change, to solve sectarian conflict, to solve overpopulation, crowding, human needs issues.
So that's really the long-term play for us. 100 is great, 10,000 is game-changing.